But let me drop some really quick you know some quick points from some of the things that the brothers and Natu dropped earlier. Okay, you know, the truth is that when it comes to Brother Ola was saying that a lot of people marry because of materialistic reasons. That is true. Okay, the reason why I don't like engaging that part of the conversation is that whatever reason you marry for, once you marry that person, okay, you are left with only two choices. Okay, not one. Oh, you know, many people will tell you you're left with one choice. No, I think you're left with two choices. Okay, once you marry that person. Okay, the reality is that everybody marry because something that's in it for them. It's one of these six right here that's being fulfilled. Either a sense of security, we call it certainty here, variety, significance, connection, growth, contribution. So there's something in there. So you're right, a lot of women, financial security is the reason why they choose. But once you decide to marry a person, you have nothing but just two choices now. You can leave them alone, or you can learn the skills to stay married to them. It's completely up to you. Okay? The reality is that all of us go into a romantic relationship because something felt right. You know, the best of us were in love. That's not good enough too to sustain it for a long time, because in love is a feeling. It goes in and out, right? Some people are on the other end of it. They went all because of money. Well, we're all in the same boat, right? But there are many people that have done both extreme and everything in between, and they've ended up good on the other side. As in, they ended up figuring out that there's more to this. That's what I want us to focus on, to start studying. Okay? So I don't want us to use the materialistic thing to shut down the conversation, which I'm glad today we didn't shut it down. We went deeper into the conversation, right? Materialistic thing, like, yeah, of course people do sometimes. If you have Lamborghini and you have Range Rover and all this kind of stuff, the person will be capping big time. They'll be lying essentially to say that's not part of the reason, that they don't feel a little safer, at least financially speaking, for engaging that relationship. But it doesn't mean that they can't build something better in the future, because all of us, 100% of us, right, the foundation we built on is all fake in the beginning. It can't stand. We need to rebuild the foundation once you get inside, and every time, from time to time, you have to do it. You have to reassess the foundation and see if you can rebuild a new one or patch some places, just like you would do in any kind of house, right? Indians and Nigerians, there's literally African Americans fantasizing about us, thinking we have it all traditional. Let's not deceive ourselves, okay? That's why you see the ladies will tell you very quick, like Indians, where they're buying themselves inside house. That's what you're comparing us to. Let's not bring in any generalization so we can get to the bottom. If you bring it next time, I'm patient, okay? But I'm just saying, it doesn't really solve any problem. They have their own wahala, just like you said yourself when you were here anyway, right? Okay, so when people do the worst, okay, if it feels right in that moment, they do the worst. They call the police on themselves. They manipulate each other. They will start using wherever they can find, wherever is the closest thing, right? They will use all of that to shame themselves. Everything but emotional intelligence. Everything but self-awareness. Everything but self-reflection. Right? That's what they will use in that space. Okay? There's no such thing as 50-50 in a marriage. Even if you draw it on paper, you put numbers on it, you draw it and say, okay, this is how much you contribute, this is how much you contribute. Someone is going to feel some type of way, and that destroys that 50-50 mindset instantly. Because the other person is like, we did 50-50. Now you're not being fair. Right? It becomes a competition of fairness. There's no win-win in that. What you should be looking for, no matter what they look like, somebody that complements you. You shouldn't be competing with each other, directly or indirectly. Okay, a lot of people, they say, but we find a common ground, but it's actually an indirect form of competing with each other. Because what you perceive as common ground, the other person, another human being involved, may not perceive it as common ground. And now your idea of common ground has ended up in the poto before you even get started, right? So it is the reality. Everybody, the rest of us, all of us, we go into it because we found some kind of value in whatever we're talking about. That's the bottom line. Okay? So again, I definitely want us to continue to speak our version of what you believe, your opinion, the truth, if you will, right? I want you to speak it, right? But I want us to be aware that we have to remain a student of social and emotional intelligence for the rest of our lives. Why? Because it's a moving target. Okay? What we consider emotional intelligence in 1960 is not the same thing as it is in 2023. It's not the same thing as what it is in 1983. We have to pay attention to the context we're operating in. If you're in the Western world, you pay attention. We don't get to tell the person on the other side to pay attention to. You pay attention to it. You as an individual, you pay attention to it. The other person, if you're able to do it successfully, they don't really have a choice. They follow suit. Okay, because we all care about something. And the fact that you have emotional intelligence or you're a student of it, that's one of the things you respect. You respect that these people care about something. Let me make sure that they feel acknowledged. Let me make sure they feel heard. Let me make sure that they feel seen. It doesn't mean you're putting them ahead of yourself. That's not what I'm asking you to do. Okay, as a matter of fact, that's literally putting yourself first. You're making sure that whatever value you're bringing to the table, which you get some kind of fulfillment from that too, you're making sure that it actually lands so that you don't waste your time, so that you don't become vegetable in society because you think you're doing all the right thing, but somehow you're not creating the results you're looking for. Yeah? So very, very important that we pay attention to some of these things. There's complaint everywhere. Okay? One of the major issues is no one is willing to listen long enough to hear where the other person is coming from. If you notice those brothers that just came on this stage today, the environment they felt comfortable. That's why they came up. I'm like that. If I don't feel comfortable, I might even cap and tell you, no, I just don't want them. No. It's because I'm not comfortable, okay? When you feel comfortable, you open up a little bit more. Right, well, what do you do with that information? You make the other person feel a little bit more comfortable. Because it's a marketplace. If they don't feel comfortable with you, somebody else will make them feel comfortable. Right? So to me, it's not a matter of cheating or not. Everybody want to talk about cheating. If they cheated, they're a bad person. Great. You're granted what you want. You're right. But people will do what's wrong when it feels right. That's human beings in general. If it feels right, if it comes down to survival, they will do what you might consider to be wrong, and they might even end up justifying it. What are we talking about? Somebody actually tried to justify the ultimate crime, right? People will do that when it feels right. That's the reality about human beings, right? Just want you to pay attention to some of those nuances there in all of the conversation, right? So yeah, people are complaining everywhere. People are complaining about Japa marriage. Why? Because it's the easy thing to point fingers at. We need to dig in deeper into that particular relationship. What happened there? Where did the disconnect come from? Let me guess. No one is patient enough to ask those questions. Everybody just wants to give a cookie cutter solution. They want to generalize it's because of Japa marriage. Yeah, Japa marriage is a fact of life. They're falling apart. A lot of them are falling apart. What we are disagreeing on is the solution. The solution is not generalization. It will never be generalization. And I don't think it's sustainable to start put a group of men somewhere, say, men too, you should do this, or say, women, you should do. No. It's case by case. Case by case. If it's the man that's complaining, we say, let me hear the rest of the story. Tell us more, right? They need to seek help. They need to seek counseling. They need to seek therapy, whatever they need to seek. There is solutions, right? But that solution needs to be customized for them. The generalized solutions, things like, oh yeah, the Nigerians are better than the Indians. I mean, the Indians are better than, things like that will never work. It will never work, okay? At best, they will gather enough people around us so we can have an echo chamber. We'll be talking at each other, right? That's all it can do. It's entertaining because you take a group of people, you just start throwing stones at them. It is entertaining. Why is it entertaining? Because people can relate. Just because you can relate doesn't mean it's a good solution. Okay? It's not a good solution at all, right? So, very, very important points that I wanted to make sure that I drop before we leave today, okay? We keep talking about the cooking thing. No one is going through marriage crisis just because of cooking. I'm sorry. No one is going through, okay? No one is going through marriage crisis because their family found out they are washing their wife's water. No, that's not the issue. That has never been the issue. Those are the symptoms. That's what it looks like on the surface, right? I don't want to wash pata anymore. I don't want all these different things. Like, that's not the issue. You were washing the pata before. So something happened that made you start to feel some type of way. That's what we need to find. The work, like getting down to it, right? It's not cooking. Like the brothers have rightfully said, no one is cooking like that anyway. People are cooking into freezers and they want food from the freezer. Yes, the woman tends to cook. And when the woman is cooking, when she's not complaining, it's not because she thinks she's a cook. It's because she actually finds pleasure in taking care of her family, nurturing her family. And once she stops feeling that way, yes, it's one of the easiest things to point fingers at. It's because you're not washing plates. No. It's not the plate, that's the symptom. I guarantee you, once you start washing plates, it will solve the problem temporarily, but the issue is deeper than that. The issue is at an emotional level. That's why marriages are falling apart, because of issues with emotional blackmail and manipulation everywhere. That's the reality. And until we start getting there, we will continue to miss it. The easiest thing is say, hey, you too, rot your humanity, wash it. That child is not doing that because of she doesn't want your humanity, wash it. That child might be rebelling against the humanity worship precisely. We need to dig in deep and find the root cause when it comes to human interactions, when it comes to human relationships. It's never the stuff on the surface. It just never is. Everybody is struggling because they get stuck on the surface. You were disrespectful to your husband. You shouldn't do that. No one is asking, wait, Kilagbe, Kileju, how did we get here? No one is asking that question. No one is asking that question. A lot of good points were made. I like what Brother Ben said about suggesting and recommending, right? There's a difference between controlling and influencing. Okay? Influencing and seduction go together. Okay? Controlling is I want instant gratification. I tell you, you do it now. Influencer, being an influential leader in your household, it's like you don't have to tell them. You don't have to tell them, right? You don't have to say much. But all of that will get questioned when you're in crisis. What you need to find out is, why did you end up in crisis? Not say, well, these are the rules, for the rules. It will backfire. It will continue to backfire. It is what it is. Now, in all of this conversation, I'm not talking about the winch. If you're married to a winch, divorce her. In all of this conversation, maybe I'm not even talking about the Mongo Parks. Maybe a tougher name, something a little bit like a monster. I'm not talking about a monster of a man. Okay? I'm not talking about somebody DV who tends to want to lay their hands on you. No, I don't discuss those people here. Okay? If you have somebody like them, please point them to a mental home. We're talking about typical people and typical issues that we all run into because we're collaborating as human beings. There will be friction. That's all I'm talking about. If you're married to a winch, stop arguing with your destiny. Divorce her. Why are you coming here to ask me to give you permission to divorce a winch? I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. Unless you're just you're thinking maybe she's not a winch. I'm just trying to. Okay, then you need to learn how to explain yourself. tell us the rest of the story if you don't want to end up doing a bunch of shalaye with no evidence. You could just explain, tired, no evidence.
We go explain because no evidence.
We get it.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
All right. Awesome. Do me a favor. As you're on your way out, hit that like, share, subscribe, turn on all your notifications just to make sure that you're notified whenever we come here. I will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Yes. I think 5 p.m. But don't be surprised if you see me in the middle of the afternoon, Sha. But just make sure you turn on all your notifications, okay? Thank you so much. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. Let me just first of all say a big thank you to Natu for the $10 for being the sponsor of this show today. I appreciate you, Natu. She is a channel sponsor. She's also a sponsor of today's show. Please go ahead and support Natu. She said, Natu, by the way, reach out to wife by Instagram. DM her on Instagram. I think she needs something from you, so DM her. Just in case you don't know, you can support Natu. She sells casual perfume oils and things like that. If you want to smell nice, reach out to her. 516-544-7320. All right. Again, hit that like, share, subscribe. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one.